stuff, and he's got a drug habit here. He's fooling around with it. He's down in the streets of Tokyo hustling. I've read 3 of Gibson's books about 10 times each. He wrote Neuromancer, Count Zero, and a collected book called Burning Chrome. And a certain philosophy is there if you can. He did. Gibson would laugh. Hey, man, I'm just writing, amusing stuff for you to read. He would decline and deny the role of prophet, but he really is laying down a theology and an economics. And one thing I've learned from Gibson's stuff is, see, the world in Gibson's books 20 years from now, you don't hear much about America. And they're vaguely Russian, because vaguely Russian America, they became second-class countries, and, they spent all their money in arms, and they start, so that finally, the world is really run by Germany and Japan and Switzerland, who kind of did at one point, apparently, and said to Russia and America, hey, we can't allow this. You see, we can't go around building up arms and blowing things up. You can't blow up America because we own it. Nuclear war is bad for consumer business. See? Funny thing, you see, I'm naming you former Axis countries. Kind of interesting. The worst thing that can happen to a country is to win a war. You know that. World War II, boy, yeah. Tell me about it, Ollie, and Poindexter. Tell me about it, yeah. We won World War II. Who's we? Russia and America. It's kind of funny, isn't it? And poor England had the poor luck to be dragged along and be a victor. Because the victors, number one, their military leaders were not discredited. Eisenhower and Haig, right? All those Russian generals with acres of medals. Anytime you see a grown man dressed up in a uniform with ribbons, you know you got a psychotic case on your hands. And it doesn't help that the turkeys are armed to the teeth with a pit bull mentality, yeah. That's the problem with Russia and America, that they simply spending all their energies in war and military and CIA and the KGB. Meanwhile, the poor losers. Okay, Germany, Japan, and Italy, their military leaders were discredited. Hitler is not a joke. I mean, he's an absolute abhorrent. Name Hitler, you're never going to get on a uniform, you know that. Or dreams of tomorrow, the world, get out of here, Adolf. Germany went right to work making consumer goods. We didn't allow them to have guns. That's a good one. We bombed all their factories. They started new factories. Same thing happened in Japan. We wouldn't let them have any military. We totally discredited that whole Tojo dreams of Nipponese empire. No, sir, we're not worried about that. We're going to conquer the world with consumer goods. That you Americans and Russians have forgotten how that, because, if you've forgotten, the individual human being doesn't care about big nuclear guns and tanks. The individual human being wants things to enhance his intelligence and make him feel good, or make her a little smarter, or make life a little more comfortable, or give a little class or fashion or a sense of consumer gourmet. I'm in control of my life, and I'm not a victim of the Soviet or the American factory. I'm trying to say, you get the picture. Now, in this world of future that Gibson's vaguely talking about, it's like a vague blueprint. You have to fit in your own picture. It's really quite liberal in the sense that of the Italians too. Mussolini, give me a break. The Italians are notorious bad soldiers. Sometimes. Yeah. They're credible soldiers in an individual thing, but they're not good at lining up for some cause. And I don't blame them. It's a great thing.
Love, not war.
What?
They make love, not war.
Yeah, well, I'll go for that. I mean, that's an old motto. I've heard that before. So, and the Italians are doing fine, It's bad. Oh, they can't run a country. They have a government. The government's changing all the time. Good. That means the bureaucrats are changing all the time. But somehow Italy is working without the bureaucrats. It's amazing. So finally we catch on. It's the governments that cause all the fuck-ups. When you get the military and the government out, it's the psychedelic, cybernetic, hedonic law of supply and demand. People want certain things that kind of help people now, anyway, and it's very liberal because, see, the big companies, the international, multinational combines, they don't run things. They're just kind of keeping everything moving. They don't care what drugs you take or how you fuck or what kind of magazines, as long as you're a good consumer. And there's no. The old motto of 1776 and 1966 of think for yourself and question authority, TFYQA. But it doesn't do any good to think for yourself if you don't know how to think. And if you're using marble tablets to think, or if you're using the alphabet of 26 meaningless letters to think, there's a French school of philosophy called semiotics, and they come out with some interesting... By the way, do you know that the French, and many of you in the audience come from Silicon Valley, but the French have a computerized telephone system called Minitel? See, really interesting, we learned from the French. The French didn't have a telephone system for a long time. De Gaulle would not allow it. You know why? For many reasons. Number one, the French man felt that if he had a telephone at home and he went off to work or went to visit his mistress, his wife would use the phone to you-know-what. So as a good man, he could go out of the house and he didn't want his wife to have a telephone. Secondly, when a bell rings, you have a servant ring it. So the idea that the bell would ring and you'd pick it up, mean you're a servant, see? So also you couldn't control information if you had a telephone. But same thing in Moscow. There's no telephone book in Moscow, a city of 10 million people. But anyway, now, since